Ding dong! Welcome to the Character Express. My name is Glitch Demon, and I'll be your conductor on the route of understanding characters. So hand over your ticket, let me snip a few holes, and we'll get on our way. Okay. Give me the ticket. Give me the ticket, and get on the train. Thank fucking God. Okay, and on our way! Hold up! Before you watch this video, under section 728.1a of the Content Creator Guidelines, I feel legally obligated to inform you viewers that this character contains spoilers to HSR 3.4 story content. If you don't care about spoilers, then continue on. But if you do care, don't watch this video. Don't pull for Phainons, and for the sake of the aeons, don't forget to enjoy your time in the story. Okay, bye. Okay, guys, it's time. Welcome to the No Mither Challenge HSR edition, because shit just got a little bit broken. Woo! Oh, you're confused? Well, then allow me to introduce you to the man of a plan, the hubby with all the dead buddies, the deliverer, not the DiGiornoer. It's Phainons! As of this moment, on July 19th, 2025, Phainons is by far the strongest destruction unit the Hoyo has ever crafted up. So strong that other destruction characters need to be on every drug imaginable in order to dream high enough to even get to his level. I always take notes on the characters' kits for these videos, and let me tell you, Phainons BS takes up a whole 3 pages. Sorry. Phainons base kit takes up a whole 3 pages. For reference, Hyacine's base kit only took up 1.5. To explain what Snowy does in brief, he can buff teammates, regenerate energy for all allies, energy, delete multiple normal enemies, increase crit damage, and on top of all that, he can transform into a whole nother form. So, yeah. Oh, wanna know more? Well, let's get into it. Pure Corpus is Phainons' talent. Like I mentioned before, Phainons doesn't use energy, so what does he use? Like Acheron in her Slash Dream, Phainons has a stackable currency that powers his ult called Core Flame. He's able to activate his ult once he obtains 12 Core Flames. But how does one receive Core Flames? Well,
come on, get that money. 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 I don't come to money. 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 Do it all for money.
you target him. Well, you or an enemy. If Phainons gets targeted by an enemy, he receives a Core Flame. When he uses his skill, he receives 2 Core Flames. When he was targeted by an ally, not only does he gain a Core Flame, but he also gains an increase to his crit damage of 15% for a whole 3 turns. Afraid of losing Core Flames after 12? Well, don't worry, the Core Flame count guarantees they say you can store 3 extra Core Flames. Perfect for coming out of your ult with a head start on your next transformation. Well, for most characters, techniques are rather inconsequential, usually either buffing the character or team or attacking the enemy. This is not the case for all characters, though. There are now 2 characters that hold a technique that affects the world outside of battle. In fact, there's some familiar faces. It's Acheron and Phainons. Sorry. Acheron has a special technique ability. When you use your technique, you're able to annihilate any normal monster that crosses your path. If the enemy is powerful or higher, it'll initiate combat, giving you some buffs. Phainons also has this ability, on steroids. Using beginning to the end, where Acheron annihilates one enemy, Phainons is able to send everyone in the room to
the Shadow Realm.
To offput the amount of people that Phainons snaps out of existence, he uses 2 technique points rather than the usual 1. With the increased usage, Phainons increases your technique points by 3. Just like Acheron though, when you hit a powerful or stronger enemy, you get a few buffs. First, every member of your team receives 25 energy, and you regain 1 skill point, allowing you to start at 4 skill points rather than 3. On top of that, Phainons deals 200% of its attack at the beginning of each round. Oh, that's a small bit. I feel like I'm forgetting something. As previously mentioned, Phainons' skill, Let There Be Light, is one of the few ways that he builds up his Core Flame stacks. By using Excalibur Light, Phainons gains 2 Core Flames. Of course, in the process, one of the enemies says something bad about Phainons' mom, so he slaps him of a whopping 150% of his own attack. Of course, he spreads the love by dishing 60% of his attack to the 2 fools sitting next to them, so fair is fair. Of course, every character in gaming history needs the classic punch to round out their kit. When it comes to Honkai Star Rail, the main thing we care about is what the attack scales on. Which stat do we actually want to look at? In Phainons' case, his attack stat is the fuel for Stride to Deliverance. Now we discussed everything about Phainons' kit. Okay, that was weird. But since we discussed everything,
I'm still here.
um,
Don't ignore me.
okay, I can't think. What could I be forgetting? I talked about his talent, his skill, his technique, even his basic attack. What more? The shit just got a little bit broken. Wait, why did I say that? I called him broken, but why?
'Cause of me.
Wait, did I not do the ult? But surely that doesn't make him broken. I mean, a great ult does not a broken character make. I mean, what could be in here that, and on top of all that, he can transform into a whole nother form. He has another form.
Tell them.
But I...
Tell them.
Tell
But Hoyo shouldn't have.
tell
Tell them. All right. When Phainons builds up his core flame count to 12, he gains the ability to use He Who Bears the World Must Burn. By using this, he unleashed a demon that was locked away in the basements of Mihoyo, Kazlana. Kazlana is the brute that turns a rather respectable destructor into a broken effigy that makes enemies shit themselves on sight. When Kazlana enters the field, he puts the field into a state of ruin called the Ruinous Iron Tomb territory. While in this territory, all of Kazlana's friends exit stage right, and all enemies immediately hear the bells of death as they receive a weakness to physical damage, meaning that both bars are in for a thrashing. Kazlana's appearance is so frightening that he scares away the whole turn system. So, explaining this next part may seem a bit weird, but stick with me. Rather than receiving his own turn, Kazlana gets 8, count them, 8 special turns. I guess this is a way to balance him around the specific term turn and extra turn. On top of that, Kazlana's speed is 60% of Phainons. A weird balance change, but okay, it's in there. Amongst all the horrors that we will discuss, there is still one big looming threat. On the last of Kazlana's extra turns, he will deal 480% of his attack amongst all enemies evenly, indiscriminately. Hello friends. Before we move on to the second half of this character's kit, I wanted to award you this time to breathe. Grab some water, maybe make a sandwich. In the meantime, allow me to suggest you spend some of that time liking the video and subscribing. It's free and it only takes a second to do, which you could have done in the time it takes me to explain this. But for the most part, it lets me know that I'm doing something right. And trust me, at this stage of my online presence, that's a nice feeling to have. I'll give you a few extra seconds to consider. Ta-ta! Welcome everyone to the scary part of Phainons. Like, there is so much to explain, and honestly, while I really want to make this a shorter video, I'm afraid it's going to be longer due to Article 606.1 of the Content Creator Guidelines. I'm obligated to explain everything, and hopefully we can make this fast. Okay, so what's on the docket? Can't be that much. Oh, fuck. Kazlana gets essentially a whole new kit, making him the first character to have 2 kits. When you transform Kazlana, Pyrrhic Corpus turns into Fate, Divine Vessel. When you have a feature with the word Fate in it, you know shit's about to get crazy. If Phainons transforms during an ally's turn, all buffs on that ally get another turn, and the current turn immediately ends. I love reading that turns immediately end, because I feel like it can do some goofy, I feel like you could do some goofy fun timing things, or something like that, but at the same time, it feels like every single time that happens, it's on a character where it doesn't matter. So I don't know where to put that. Kazlana also gets 4 points of a new currency called Scourge. Frankly, there's so much in this talent that we're gonna have to talk about Scourge later. When Phainons' Identity Crisis ends, his attack increases by 40% and his max HP increases by 135%. And if you thought this could be balanced out by crowd control, guess again, because he's immune to all crowd control effects. On top of that, whenever Caslana's attack is used, he regains 20% of his max HP. But wait, there's more, because if Caslana is somehow knocked out, he restores 25% of his max HP and immediately launches an attack. Now, to be fair, there is a balance moment here. His damage multiplier decreases by 12.5% for each remaining turn. So if you die on turn 1, your multiplier lowers to a measly 392%. Only 392. That's almost nothing. At least there isn't anything that happens when the transformation ends. Oh, come on! If you thought having Fate in the title was bad, then allow me to introduce you to Calamity Soul Scorch Edict, the first of Caslana's 2, yes, he has 2 new skills. This skill gives Caslana a point of Scourge for every enemy, and great. Also gets a status. He enters the Soul Scorch state. What does that mean? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. In the Soul Scorch state, what the fuck? You get 75% damage reduction? Seriously? Does he need more health? This guy essentially has triple HP when using this skill. This makes a D&D barbarian look like a fucking stuffed animal. Along with his triple health, he also gains another stack of Soul Scorch whenever an enemy attacks and takes action, which he'll be doing a bunch since he makes all enemies take a turn when he uses Calamity Soul Scourge Edict. On top of everything else, when all enemies have had a taste of Caslana, Caslana gives them a swift kick in the nards by launching a counter worth, 20% of Caslana's attack. Whew. I thought that was gonna be awful. Oh wait. And an additional 4 instances of 15% of his attack dealt to a random enemy? At least he spreads the love. Wait, there's a footnote on this skill. For each Soul Scourge stack, the damage multiplier increases by 20%. Great! More free damage. Continuing on with Caslana's second ability, we're getting to the foundations of his power. The skill is called Foundation Star Death Verdict. It was a pun. Okay. Foundation Star Death Verdict has 2 main effects. 1, dispelling all debuffs on Caslana, and 2, dealing a lot of damage. It's funny to picture anyone getting up from Caslana's turn, especially when every other action can be a batch of damage totaling 585% of Phainons' attack. For every point of Scourge consumed, Foundation Star Death Verdict does 4 instances of 22.5% of Caslana's attack to a random enemy. And on top of that, if you eat 4 points of Scourge, you do an additional 225% of his attack evenly to all enemies. Oh god. God, another footnote. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, this is a good footnote. Remember, Foundation Star Death Verdict can only do 585% of his max attack. This is a cap, not a guarantee. Okay, I can get behind that. Finally, we find ourselves at the last of his kit. I mean finally. Creation Bloodthorn Fury is Caslana's basic attack, getting him 2 points of Scourge and dealing 125% to the fool that looks at him the wrong way, along with 37% to his posse members. And yeah, that's pretty basic EPA. Whew. We're finally finished those abilities and stuff. And it only took... Oh, fuck. Okay, look in the docket. We don't have too much left, so that's good. I might need to verify my channel so I can unlock chapters. Yeah, I should do that. Welcome to the Trace Market, a special shop where you can trade in blood, sweat, and tears for some minor upgrades. Is your transformation coming along too slow? Then spend 2 levels from March of Oblivion, giving Phainons an additional core flame when the battle starts. To sweeten the deal, I'll even add in that you get 3 additional core flame when your transformation ends. One little boost when you get support, then spend 4 levels and get Bide in Flames, giving you a 45% damage increase for 4 turns when you get healed or shielded by a friend. And if you ever receive energy regen from a friend, then I'll throw in another core flame. I'm just giving these shits away! Be aware that you can only get that attack increase once per turn. Feeling somehow you aren't doing enough attack? Well then place 6 levels into my hands and I'll increase your attack by 50% whenever you enter combat or exit transformation. And I'll let you stack this effect twice. Well, that's all I have in stock, so hopefully you enjoy. Let's talk about his extended kit, because it's something. If you manage to get 1 copy of Phainons, Fire and Light Bend Vice and Virtue makes Caslana's speed become 66% of Phainons, rather than the base 60%. On top of that, whenever an enemy is killed, the ratio is increased by 1.5%, meaning that Kozlana can get faster and faster the longer the match goes. Finally, upon releasing Kozlana, increases his crit damage by 50% for 3 turns. The speed ratio increase max out at 84%. I really don't know why this ratio is necessary. Maybe it's a way to prevent Kozlana from getting a full bonuses from speed ornament sets? Maybe? Where Kozlana's power really spikes is at E2. Sky and Earth turn mortal 4. God fuck. These are weird words. Okay? Where Kozlana's power really spikes is at E2. Sky and Earth turn mortal 4th. Increases Kozlana's physical res pen by 20%. If you didn't think that Kozlana could ever do enough damage, whenever you consume 4 Scourge points of Foundation Star Death Verdict, Kozlana gets an extra turn. Yep, 8 turns wasn't enough. God, when you get Kozlana E4, you unlock Faces of Titans, Blurred by Time, giving you 4 additional Soul Scourge stacks when you use Calamity Soul Scourge Edict. And you know what that results in, right? That's right, baby, more damage! Woo! Now, throughout his Eidolons, you may have noticed that I've barely mentioned Phainons, the name character of the character. That's because E6 is the first time that Phainons' kit is actually affected. With Embers of Old Rise still, there is no limit to how many core flames you can have. Any number of core flames above 12 will just be applied when Kozlana exits the field. Along with that, you start the battle with 6 core flames, so now you're kickstarting Kozlana's rule even faster. Speaking about Kozlana, that's right, E6 is also a Kozlana buff. After all the damage that Foundation Star Death Verdict does, Embers of Old Rise still deals an additional true damage equal to 36% of the total damage from Foundation Star Death Verdict. Now that we're done with his base kit and his extended kit, I do want to point this out. I have been ruling that Kozlana is broken as all shit. And that's because, in theory, he is. He is a character that gets 8 extra turns. Each time, he can deal a shit ton of damage with each of those turns. And the fact of the matter being that you don't even have to get into the second turn in order to activate his ult. If you have the right team, you can get his ult up every turn, dealing a shit ton of damage and a shit ton of weakness break. The fact that I'm saying he's broken is because of the fact that he does everything and fits into every team. I don't want to say it's a problem. It's kind of a problem. I like flexibility. I like being able to shove a character into a team and then maybe being able to shove him into another team. I like that. I like it more with supports than I do with destruction units because, I mean, at that point, what's the point? The destruction unit is what you're putting all your supports into your team for. So I don't necessarily do the endgame content all that often currently, but having talked to one of my friends who does do endgame content, they've assured me that Phainons' kit doesn't shine super well. I can't imagine a world in which it doesn't shine super well, but I do want to make that clear. I'm saying that theoretically, he is the most broken character. Practically, he might not be. Let's move on to his light cone and his build. As with all these videos, I will describe their signature light cone specifically. Even if their signature is not their best light cone, I am specifying I am talking about his signature here. Phainons' signature light cone, of course, isn't all that great, in all honesty. The best thing that it does is it highlights the semantic difference between turns and extra turns. And you know I love a good semantical difference. Thus, Burns the Dawn increases the wearer's base speed by 12. Not increasing the speed by 6% or anything, their base speed by 12. Like with most of Phainons' kit, it also gives free damage. The wearer will be able to ignore 18% of the enemy's defense. But what do I mean by the best thing that it does is it highlights the semantic difference between turns and extra turns? Well, when the user uses their ult, they gain the Blazing Sun state. The Blazing Sun state goes away at the start of their turn, which is bypassed by Kozlana's extra turns because they aren't turns, they're extra turns. Oh yeah, just so you know, if you're in the Blazing Sun state, you get a 60% increase to your damage. So Yeah. Finally, let's talk about his build. As always, I love getting options for people in case they don't want to grind certain things or they want a few different ways to play him. And as I mentioned before, he's a very flexible character. He's very, very good, very consistent, and very, very flexible. So there's a few different ways you can kind of build him. The most obvious one is the 4-piece Wave Strider Captain, which is the newest set to come out when he is out. This will increase your crit damage with its 2-piece set, and it also gives an automatic, and it also will give an automatic 48% due to how many people you're going to have targeting the big man, because after all, he's the only person on the field. You can also go ahead and give him 4-piece champion boxing, because you're more likely to have access to that right away than you are to have Wave Strider Captain. Champion boxing is just rather good for the increased damage and physical damage boost that you're going to get. Moving into the 2+2 pieces, 2+2 Scholar and Wave Strider, just for the balance of increasing both criticals, another 2x2 piece attack, nice attack bonus, you know? It's nice. I don't have too much to say about these two. They're generally good for DPS. Speaking of DPS, the stats you kind of want to run are going to be just your basic DPS stats. You're going to want a crit rate shirt. You're going to want a crit rate shirt. You're going to want to you're going to want a crit rate shirt. You're going to want attack shoes. I think attack shoes are really good here. Kozlana doesn't have a lot of speed, and you don't necessarily need him attacking over and over again to collect core flames, because you could just target him and have him get targeted. So honestly, attack or even some defense boots will be pretty nice. Moving on to his ornaments, you're going to want to run physical damage boost for your sphere, attack percent for your cable. I'm not sure where if you want to go ahead and slot something else in for the cable, that's fine. That's your choice. My suggestion is just go for full DPS on Phainons. There's no real reason to really want speed. Effect hit rate doesn't really mean anything because you're not really giving effects out. E-res doesn't matter because most of the time you're going to be immune to crowd control effects, and you can still target a person if they're crowd controlled. So it's not like he's losing out on gaining energy. I would say just go for crit rate, crit damage, and attack for your substats. Going on with the ornaments, a 2-piece Rudolent Arena set is really, really nice. It does have a commitment to CR involved, but it does raise the basic attack and skill damages by an unwavering 20%. So it is a flat 20% increase that you get for both your basic attack and skill damages, and because of the fact that those are the only things you're going to have access to when you're in Kozlana, I think Rudolent Arena is a really good choice. On top of that, a 2-piece Sigonia is also going to be a really good choice because Phainons is really good at killing smaller enemies. He's going to get his CD increase as Kozlana and Phainons really, really fast. Finally, the really obvious choice is going to be Arcadia. It's going to be the newest set, 2-piece Arcadia. Since all allies leave the field during his ult, there's automatically 3 less members, getting you the max 36% as Kozlana. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. I hope that you can help me learn something in the comments. If I fucked up in any way, shape, or form, lambast me in the comments. Let me know. I'm new to building. I'm new to all this kind of stuff, but I do like sharing my enjoyment to you guys. So again, please let me know. Let me see that you liked the video, and say some nice things in the comments. But otherwise, I hope everyone here has a wonderful day. And happy pulling.